Richie B, the party master, on Up and Go.
Right now we say good morning to you. My name is Richie B, and we're here with you until 11 o'clock. Thank you very much. Ronnie and Pernell, have yourselves a good day. When we sign off at 11, today being a Tuesday, of course, that is when Mama Elise Kelly comes in with Untangled. The usual peeps are in the studio. Morning, Audley. Morning, Richie. Morning, Romy. And good morning, Jody. I don't know how many of you have been monitoring this situation in relation to a tsunami in a place called Tonga. Now, Tonga is made up of more than 170 islands scattered over an area of the South Pacific, altogether roughly the size of Japan. And it is believed that about 100,000 people actually live in Tonga, the bulk of them on the main island of Tonga Tapu. Well, the unfortunate news is that they experienced a tsunami and preceded by a volcanic eruption. And this morning, for the first time, the government of Tonga is speaking, and they are reporting that all of the houses have been totally destroyed. We understand that countries like New Zealand are trying to send some clean drinking water and other supplies, but the planes cannot even land at the airport because of all the ash that is covering the Earth's surface over there in Tonga and those surrounding islands. Only 2 people have so far been reported dead, but it is believed that that number could swell as they continue to do a survey of the damage and all the effects of it. So an underwater volcano erupted on Saturday, and it showered Tonga with ash, and it triggered a tsunami. And this morning, for the first time, the government is speaking, and they're saying that all the houses have been destroyed. That is mass devastation, ladies and gentlemen. And it's now time for WTF, What the Fact. So the fact that we're sharing with you this morning surrounds a male and female anglerfish who we understand that when they mate, they actually melt into each other. That sounds very romantic. When a male and female anglerfish mate, they melt into each other. I didn't know that. I wonder how they achieve that. Let me see here, because we might get some pointers. Oh, we're looking at it on our screen. Oh, that's what they look like. Whew. Not the most attractive fish that I've seen. No pun intended. But the fact is, that is the anglerfish, right? So let me get to the story. There are more than 200 species of anglerfish, most of which live in the murky depths of the Atlantic and Antarctic oceans, and up to a mile below the surface, although some live in shallow tropical environments. Now, their most distinctive feature, worn only by females, is a piece of dorsal spine that protrudes above their mouths like a fishing pole, hence their name. Tipped with a lure of luminous flesh, this built-in rod baits prey close enough to be snatched. Now, the male, which is significantly smaller, really? It's much smaller than the female. All right, look at that. It has evolved. Let me just state this again. The male, which is significantly smaller than the female, in lieu of continually seeking the vast abyss for a female, it has evolved into a permanent parasitic mate. When a young, free-swimming male angler encounters a female, he latches onto her with his sharp teeth. Those teeth look really sharp. Over time, listen to this, the male physically fuses with the female, connecting to her skin and her bloodstream, and in the process losing his eyes. He doesn't have a problem with that. He's got the catch. And all of his internal organs, except his testes, actually connect that kind of way. A female will carry 6 or more males on her body, but not necessarily for the same reason and not necessarily at the same time, obviously. This is quite a fascinating story. And after all of that, let me remind you that when a male and female anglerfish mate, they melt into each other. Sounds romantic to me. I don't know about you. Okay, that's our WTF. That's quite fascinating, actually. All right, so we inform, we educate, and we entertain, but right now it's time for us to go inside of our proverb of the day. First of all, I want you to hear the proverb. Here it is.
Too much sit down broke breeches.
All right, she says, too much sit down broke breeches, right? That is the Jamaican proverb. The translation, sitting down too much wears out one's trousers. Okay. Yeah, all right, we take that. Now, what does that all mean? What that means is idleness leads to wants. Okay? So, that is what that means. Every time you hear that Jamaican proverb, too much sit down broke breeches, we're really saying idleness leads to wants. So you need to get up and go for what you want. Satisfy your needs. But you got to work for it, right? Yeah. I see where Celine Dion is actually canceling a tour that she had planned. She's canceled her North American tour due, we understand, to severe and persistent muscle spasms. She put out a statement, and she said she's said to be a patient, and she wants to listen to the advice of her doctors as she continues treatment. And her shows in the U.S. and Canada have been canceled. The European leg of her Courage World Tour is currently still set to go ahead, starting in Birmingham in May. So my friends in the UK would be happy to know that, for those who are fans of Celine Dion. How many of you remember when Celine Dion came to Jamaica to perform at Jazz Fest? Man, oh man, I remember the traffic leading to that venue. I was at a hotel in Montego Bay and then decided to go at about the time when, she'd be performing in another hour or so. And I don't think persons who were heading towards Montego Bay could actually move for several hours because all of the traffic was going towards the Trelawney Stadium. What helped me on that night was that the Minister of National Security at the time was recognized by me, and I noticed that he was being escorted by several police officers with lights flashing and siren going off. And I just kind of, it's a confession, please. Don't clobber me. I just kind of joined that line with my hazard lights. And I actually got into the venue much quicker than those who, my friends who were behind me, who got there maybe 2 hours or so thereafter. But Celine Dion is not in the best of health right now, and we wish her well as she continues to battle this severe and persistent muscle spasm issue. May she get well soon. We're going to be having a chat with the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Mr. Winston Smith, who is calling for mutual collaboration between schools and parents and communities for the development of students, as the absence of any one of these stakeholders will result, he says, in children's growth being hindered. I should tell you that Mr. Smith, who was speaking at the inauguration service for the 2022-2024 Executive Committee of the Anchovy High School's Past Students Association in St. James last Thursday, said if we are really going to move the business of education forward, then the home, the community, and the school must coalesce around the common cause of transforming education. If one element fails, he says, or falls out, then the cause will not stand. We're joined now by President Winston Smith, the president of the JTA. Good morning, Sir Winston. How are you today?
Good morning, Richie. I'm good, and I hope all my colleagues are good just the same. And as always, Richie, I must greet my teachers and my students and parents, and to say to them that they should be careful, take care of self, maximize the opportunities that we have now, but we must always remember we're in a pandemic, and as such, we should act accordingly.
Act accordingly. Thank you. I endorse that. On that note, Mr. Smith, tell us, by way of an update, how you'd say teachers are coping, especially with the resumption of face-to-face classes at this time.
Well, the teachers are, some of our teachers are very nervous, Richie, because the reality of the pandemic is upon us. However, the majority of the teachers with whom I would have interacted, and those from the parish and district association, where I get feedback, would have indicated that the teachers are excited about going back to school. And the students, likewise, those who would have turned up, have demonstrated a high level of enthusiasm and excitement because they are back in this face-to-face modality, which will provide them the greater opportunity to learn to the best of their abilities, and as a result, improve the quality educational output that is expected and is necessary at this time.
If I should ask you to highlight some of the challenges that your teachers might be facing, though, what would some of those be?
Lack of device is always going to be a challenge, Richie B. Lack of technological support. But in terms of treating with the pandemic, lack of not enough masks to distribute to students who may have misplaced or who may have come to school without. We would also want to see an advancement in improvement in the use of technology to facilitate easier recording of the temperature of our students upon entering the school compound. So if we could get some of what I've seen in some schools, and I must big up my alma mater, St. Elizabeth Technical High School, I've seen where they have a walk-through system that records and give a voice output of the temperature, clearing the student to enter school. And that is good. And if we could have some similar system set up in all schools, as much schools as possible right across the length and breadth of Jamaica, that will give some measure of improved confidence in the fact that the students coming to us in the classroom are relatively safe. We'd also want to see more testing facilities be made available at a cheaper cost, if not free of cost to the general public, so that we can identify those persons among us who are infected. You know, we use the term asymptomatic because there are times when persons are infected but not affected. Nevertheless, they are able to transmit this virus, and that will cause a damper on any school operation. We want to make sure also that there's more sanitizer available for our schools. And I'm not saying that there's none. I'm just saying that there should be ready supply available at all times, so that the schools and administrators would not have to worry about running short at any point in time and could operate confidently knowing that all that is needed is available for the staff and students to access.
I note that the education minister recently stated that, she made a revelation earlier this week that 40% of students were not engaged in any kind of learning whatsoever during the first week of the current school term. She went on to say that approximately 15,000 students from 290 schools could not be accounted for. How concerned are you about that development?
As any educator, Richie B., I am very concerned. And I can say that I've been an educator all my life. It's the only job I didn't really know. However, one has to be aware of the fact that persons within the society are a bit tentative and nervous about going back. I am of the view that with time, the numbers will increase when the news is spread that yes, school is in operation and it is relatively safe to go back to the face-to-face modality. We are always going to be fearful of the unknown, Richie B, and that is part of our great concern. And until we overcome that fear, because remember, fear is a terrible thing and it drives people to do things that they would not normally do. But I'm of the view, and we are of the view as a body, that with time, the numbers will gradually increase and we should get back to some semblance of normalcy once the virus is under control and the positivity rate reduced. Because when we are out there and the positivity rate of a 60-odd%, Richie B, of course that's going to create fear and anxiety among the citizens.
Yes.
And it is, I don't want to say normal, but it is understandable that persons want to stay in the safety of their homes.
You're so right on that. In introducing you earlier, I highlighted an excerpt of your presentation at Anchovy High School recently. And you made some very strong points from what I've gleaned. I'd like to ask you this morning, Mr. President, what are some ways that teachers and parents and even the communities can collaborate to eliminate students being left behind and becoming inactive as far as school is concerned?
Richie, you see, parents need to understand that they play a critical role in the development of their children. The idea of parents attending and participating in parent-teachers meeting is not just one that is written on paper. There is value, tremendous value, in having parents actively engage in their students' lives. Which would be when I was in the classroom as a teacher, and I use my personal experience now to guide my decision making in some sense. But I look at the profession overall, having been in education for 29 years. When I had students who were misbehaving, but I know the parents are very involved and engaged. You could simply take your phone and call the parents, and within a minute or two, they are available. Whether they will come in some other time or they will respond to you right then and there. The students know that their parents are actively engaged and involved. What we have now is that it's almost like there's an ad on the radio one time that says, fit it and forget it. What we find is our parents will simply carry the students to school from grade 1 and you don't see them again until graduation in grade 6. Or in first form and you don't see them again until graduation. And these are the same parents who will now come and they will find money from anywhere to have a very flamboyant graduation. And they'll give up everything just to make sure that their child dressed the best, look the best for graduation, but did nothing right through the years of schooling. And we're saying, parents, you need to get with it, or else your child will be left behind, because the child will know that it doesn't matter, because mommy and daddy don't even care. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when you have parents who don't even check the books, complain about the fact that books are not being used the way they ought to, in no academic year can all the books a student have be exhausted if it is just a teacher alone working with the child. Mm-hmm. That parents need to take their children at home, sit them down and go through the book. My mother used to do that with us. And there are many parents of yesteryear, that's what they used to do. And I'm sure, Richie, you can
attest to that.
Relate to that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Because I know of a certain young man that attends Arden, I don't know if he's related to you, but a very brilliant fellow. And I believe that if it is that his parents weren't involved in his life, he would not be where he is today.
Yes. We actually have two of them there.
I didn't call it to be
one being the head boy, of course.
But let me go say hi, John Mark.
You remember his name?
Richie B, he was in my daughter's class, and they're very good friends.
Okay, all right. Spilling the beans. Yes, yeah. But you have made, I really have to repeat, you made some very strong points, and I'm happy that you highlighted that particular one this morning. We don't have a lot of time left, though, President Smith, and I wanted to get to the subject of the wage matter. What is the latest? You rejected the 4% that was being offered by the government. Where is it at now?
No, let me correct you, Richie B. You can't say you rejected. The delegates of the Jamaica Teachers Association rejected. So it must always be coined and be framed in that context, that it is the delegates who would have rejected, because within the ambit of the Jamaica Teachers Association, whenever an offer is presented, and we are at a point where we are almost at a deadlock, and I use the word deadlock advisedly, guardedly. We present said claim offer to the delegates, and it's a voice of the delegates that the president will have to respond to. So we presented our claim to the delegates last Friday, and they voted to reject it. As it is now, the Secretary General would have been advised by me to write to the Ministry of Finance to inform them of the outcome of that meeting. And we are currently awaiting a response from the Ministry of Finance so that we can go back to the negotiating table. I am an eternally optimistic person, Richie B. And if even my optimism may get me in problem from time to time, I will not relent, because it has brought me thus far. Mm-hmm. And as such, I am confident that once we get back around the table, we will be able to hammer out a deal that will be mutually beneficial to both parties. And of course, the education sector should benefit from us being able to come to some agreement.
I won't tell you who messaged me and asked me to ask you this question, but I'll ask it nonetheless. What would be an appropriate offer for the members of the JTA at this time?
That's a question, Richie, that I am not in a position to answer you, because if I answer now without consultation, so to speak, then it would speak to the opinion of the president, and the president has only one vote when it comes to matters of this nature.
They're certainly not 4%, obviously.
Well, I'm not saying to you that 4% are not, Richie, because we are not unrealistic people, you know.
Uh-huh.
And we do understand the principle of collective bargaining and all sorts of things. So we do understand some things to know that where you would have had over 80% of the unions already accepting the 4%. So we would have loved for the government to give us, and we still ask, because it doesn't preclude the government from saying, oh, you know what, we realize that we have not been treating the public sector well, so let me hear what. Teachers, you would have been the leader in this regard. We are going to increase it from 4 to something else, and we are going to give the other unions. So we are not saying that we're just going to settle and roll over and play dead. Mm-hmm. But we are also mindful of the realities of the day at the time. Mm-hmm. We are looking at some issues, and for example, we want to make sure that our schools are adequately equipped so that our students can be afforded the best educational opportunities, and that our teachers are able to execute their duties in a manner that will protect their professional integrity, their professional capital, while advancing education in a manner that will redound to the sustainable development of Jamaica land we love. Mm-hmm. We cannot continue in a manner like this where our students are just moving through the system like cellulose in a digestive tract. We have to make sure that our students are coming out at the exit point in a manner that can develop our country. But if we apply the principle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our teachers are in a destitute state. And when I say in another forum, that teachers are pretty much feeding on dumpling and butter. People take it for a joke, but there are many teachers, Richie, who are hungry, and their light bills, their electricity are being disconnected. They're not feeling well and are not able to go to the doctor. And it is a serious thing happening to us within the educational sphere. And we must put that before the country. And yes, Richie, let me not be oblivious of the fact that there is a greater demand on the education sector to produce, and that there is a greater level of accountability that is necessary. The JTA is not blinded by that reality. You know, we are fully much aware, and we have continued to provide professional development to our members and to share with them best practices to advance their pedagogical skills, as well as their administrative leadership and guidance within the school sector. But of course, you know, things take a time for it to filter through and for growth to take place. Growth is not overnight. And we have to understand that it's not a popcorn or microwave education sector. Mm-hmm. We have to start somewhere and allow it to grow and for the change to be effected and seen.
I want to put my voice out there to ask of your employers to do the best they can to satisfy you and your team, the JTA, in the best way possible. Thank you so much, President Winston Smith, for your time, and I wish you a wonderful day today. Thank you.
Yes, Richie B, but just a minute before I go, you see, I want the community to understand, Richie B, that if they don't galvanize around the development of education, it is not going to happen. The people in the community they should stop stealing from schools. They should stop harassing teachers. And they ought to send the children out, and if they find out that a student is hiding in the community, don't give them safe haven. Put them back out there and let the community, the school knows where they are and help to guide and mold them so that they can benefit from education. You understand me?
Hear, hear. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Take care, and we'll talk again soon. All the best to you and the teachers of Jamaica.
All the best, Richie B. And Richie?
Yes.
Big up John Mark all the time, and yes, especially my students from 4S at Golden Spin Primary School.
All right. Big up every time. Thank you, Mr. President. Take care. Oops. All right. That was a chat there with the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, President Winston Smith. And always great talking with him. We didn't even get into one titch. That's for another time. I saw a story that, yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the US of A. And listen to this admission that came from the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen. She said, in her Martin Luther King Day address, she said the U.S. economy has never worked fairly for black Americans or really for any American of color. That is coming from the U.S. Treasury Secretary. She added, there is still much more work that the Treasury needs to do to narrow the racial wealth divide. Those are powerful statements coming, but are they really meant? Will they be doing anything whatsoever? I wonder. In December, we were told that the unemployment rate of black Americans was double that of white Americans. We do have a problem, and they have a problem on their hands. They need to fix it. Word coming out of the health sector, effective tomorrow here in Jamaica. Public hospitals in Jamaica will only be accepting emergency cases. We're at a critical stage right now with this fourth wave, the Omicron that's out there in a big way. Do the best you can to make sure that you stay away from it, or it stays away from you. Because effective tomorrow, public hospitals in Jamaica will only be accepting emergency cases. This comes as the public health system strains under the pressure of increased COVID-19 cases. There's also a shortage of healthcare workers, which is due to confirmed or suspected COVID-19 cases. It is really spiraling out of control. You were telling me earlier on, Audley, that you actually did a COVID test yesterday.
Yeah, man.
You're a little stuffy.
Little stuffy. You know it. I ain't taking no checks.
No chances whatsoever.
Had a little coughing issue yesterday when I left here.
Right.
And I just had feeling, and I'm like, no. I call up my doctor.
Yeah.
And just tell her, listen, I need to come in, and I went there immediately. And while I was there, I just did everything, I check up, and I say, yo, COVID test.
So
did that.
Why did you turn up to work if you're positive? No, ladies and gentlemen, he actually got a negative result.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but that's a good feeling.
Yeah,
and but I heard a doctor saying recently that people are talking about a bad flu going around, and the doctor says, ain't no bad flu going around. He says, wherever you hear people talking about these bad flu situations, it's COVID. Yeah. That's what he was saying.
Funny enough, bro, a friend of mine yesterday after letting him know that I took the test and everything.
Yeah.
And I actually said that to him. I said, yo, it's a bad flu. The man said,
bad flu? What you talking about?
Bad
yeah,
flu.
But that's the right thing to do, though. You feel a little stuffy, a little wheezy, not the way that you normally feel at this time. Go get yourself checked out.
Yeah.
But we need to speak about how much it's costing to get these tests, though. Because it cost you about nearly $10,000.
10 grand. Let me tell you.
Yeah. And for people who are doing the, what's the other test? The PCR. I've heard prices costs up to 25. 25? Yeah. It's costing a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if we really want to be on top of this situation, we need to make it more accessible and more reasonable in terms of the cost. It's too expensive.
Listen, Richie. All right. If I may say this, my first test.
Yeah.
I'm not calling no institution name or anything like that. Last year,
right?
No, year before, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, if you're not prepared, it's a large institution here, right? $20,000.
That's what it cost you back then?
Yes, I still have all the information on my phone and everything.
I've paid $7,000, but I mean, it's now at $10,000 where you went yesterday, and the PCR is costing $16,000 to $20,000 to $25,000. That's too expensive.
Not cheap.
But you know what they're doing in as we talk about health, and we're heading to traffic momentarily. What they're doing in California, the municipal councils over there, and the health authorities, they are increasingly taking the extraordinary step of allowing nurses and other healthcare workers who are in fact infected with the coronavirus to stay on the job. That is what they're doing because of the shortage that they're experiencing. This is a reaction to the severe hospital staffing shortages and numerous caseloads that they have due to the Omicron variant. So they're actually saying to people who are positive for COVID-19, come out to work. We need you. I don't think Jamaica wants to hear anything like that. And Minister Tufton, I'm not making suggestions. I'm just informing the nation of what's happening in other territories, sir. But I don't think that would sit well with many Jamaicans at all. Health authorities in California announced over the weekend that hospital staff members who test positive but are symptom-free can continue working. That is the latest instruction that they're giving up there in California. I did promise you that we'll be having a guest at this time, and she's ready to speak with me. She was recently quoted in an article where she mentioned that since the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of domestic workers have been complaining about sexual harassment on the job from their employers. She said while there were complaints before, there have been an increase since the pandemic. And we also noted that it was said the reports seldom reach the police, much less the public. Instead, many are relegated to tearful counseling sessions hosted by the Jamaica Household Workers Union, which last week reiterated calls for the government's ratification of the International Labour Organization, the ILO Convention 190 against sexual harassment in the workplace. And we're very happy to be joined at this time by the president of the Jamaica Household Workers Union, the JHWU, Ms. Shirley Pryce. She's our guest. Good morning, Ms. Pryce.
Good morning, Mr. Richie. How are you?
I am doing well. Good to have you
Long time.
Good to have you on the program, and Happy New Year if it's not too late. I hope it's not too late to say Happy New Year to you.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. And same to you and your listeners.
Thank you so very, very much. How have you been, and how have you been coping during this pandemic yourself?
Well, I've been doing good, trying to keep safe, and to encourage others to also do the same.
Definitely. We appreciate that.
Yes.
I want you to tell us a little bit about the Jamaica Household Workers Union, for those who are not familiar with what you do at that organization.
Okay. Okay, the Jamaica Household Workers Union was formerly Jamaica Household Workers Association. It was set up in 1991, representing needs and interests of domestic workers. In 2013, we evolved into a union. So we have more representation rights. We can speak for ourselves. Prior to being a union, we would have to go through the Minister of Labor with our concerns. So now we are a union, we can address our concerns ourselves. Mm-hmm. So our aim is really to ensure fair and just working conditions for domestic workers, to fight for increase in wages and to fight for laws to protect domestic workers. And to we provide a lot of training for domestic workers. And we started out with 175 members and with one chapter in Kingston. Today we boast 13 chapters island-wide and 6,900 members.
Oh, that's
So you can see our union potentially can be one of the biggest organizations in Jamaica.
Yeah, that's phenomenal growth.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges that you find domestic workers are currently facing?
So, some of the challenges are long working hours. They abuse, sexual harassment that is increased since the COVID. Overwork workers. They have been overworked because they're getting too much things to do in a day. Somebody will come and say, I want somebody to come and work for a day. And when one girl reported that she has to get up from over and leave the job because when she went to the location, it was a barrel. Those barrels that you sent from overseas?
Yes.
It was that barrel full of clothes, dirty clothes.
And what was the expectation? That should
for the day, she would wash all her clothes for the day.
Oh, come on.
Yes. And so because some domestic workers really want the job, they will go for it. But some will not. Because what we do, we educate them of their rights and their responsibilities. Not just the domestic worker alone, we also work along with the employers also, and to educate both parties of their rights and responsibility. So you can have a good relationship with both parties, and both parties can know their rights, because employers have rights too. So you educate both the domestic worker of the rights, their rights, and the employer's rights, and the employers of the domestic workers' rights and their rights, what is expected of them as an employer. And lots of employers think that their house is not a workplace, but once you employ a domestic worker, your home becomes a workplace.
That must be more in mind. You're quoted as saying recently that there has been an increase in domestic workers complaining about being sexually harassed on the job, especially since the pandemic. However, we also note that Superintendent Maldria Jones-Williams of Sissoka has said that she has gotten no reports of an increase or even any recent cases of sexual offenses being committed on household helpers. How bad a problem can you share with us this morning? How bad a problem is it?
It's very bad. It was already bad long before the COVID, but since the COVID, you have a level of influx of increased complaints. I think the domestic worker will not go to the police because they would come to us as the union that represent them. So because they have this body that represent them now, they would don't go. So if we get a case of rape, which we have never gotten a case of rape, then we would call the police in. But harassment is not. You know, we try to get counseling and ask them to walk off the job. You know, if you are being harassed, just walk, because you cannot prove it to say is your word against the employer's word, and that's why we need mechanism in place. You know for a complaint mechanism, proper complaint mechanism, so you can have evidence-based, if you can say your word against mine.
Do you encourage your members, though, to not be afraid and to go forward and make formal reports to the relevant authorities when they encounter those problems?
We do that, but at the same time, as I said before, even though you ask them to, they prefer to come to the union.
Oh. They
prefer to come to because it's a safe space for them. And some of them are so embarrassed. I remember one domestic worker told me I sent them to someone else to work, and they like in a week they call back. They call me crying. I just have to say, pack your bag and come. Just take up your bag. She was a living domestic worker. And she told me that she was there cleaning the oven. Bent down cleaning the oven, everybody gone to work, and she felt somebody grab her bottom. And she was so frightened, she jump up out of the stove, she hit up her head because she was in the oven cleaning. So because she said she thought it was the gardener. So when she jumped up, it was the male employer grab her bottom, telling her that her bottom looked nice.
What?
Yes, it happened. Report it, but she didn't go. She come to the union crying.
And that is where I'm going with this now. What do you do when you get these reports? I mean, yes, you mentioned that you asked them to leave the job, but how much more can you actually do?
We do a lot of counseling.
Okay.
A lot of counseling with them and a lot of awareness raising session. Like the other day, through the Spotlight initiative that is right now focusing on violence against women and the Bureau of Gender Affairs, they have a lot of session with us. And just recently we have a session, and we have to have in the session we couldn't continue it because so much domestic workers were there crying that the facilitator was there herself crying, and have to turn it out into a healing session.
Wow.
Just this week I got a call that we need to continue the session because it's so much, it's overwhelmed.
For a domestic worker who's listening right now who doesn't know how to make contact or even to become a member of your union, how can you be reached?
Okay, we are located at 4 Ellis Mayor Road, right in our tree across Pavilion. And our number is 876 906 2849. That's 906 2849. And a secretary is there daily who can answer all queries. If domestic worker, you can go in and register. You can go in and get training. We are trying right now to set up a training institute for domestic workers because we're trying to get them trained with heart. But we found out that heart is not really a fit because domestic workers have to be trained on weekends and after work. You know, heart is during work time. So we are setting up an institution that the Minister of Labour is trying and the Minister of Gender Affairs is trying to work along with us to get this off the ground. So, and the International Labour Organization, because the project right now that we're having is moving domestic workers from informal to formal. So we're formalizing domestic workers. So we're trying to set up the training institute so we can have domestic workers train and move out of poverty.
Yeah.
Because I'm an example that you're looking at. I was a domestic worker for 31 years.
Okay.
And now I have an advanced master's degree in labor law.
Fantastic.
And
Congratulations.
So all this is through education. So you got to educate them so they can move out of poverty. But we need help.
Well,
we cannot do it alone. So we are reaching out to the private sector, to the public sector, anybody who wants to come on board to help domestic workers, because we find out that if you have a trained caliber of workers, there's not so much crime and poverty, you know. Because education can take you out of poverty and out of crime.
Well said. You're heading a very strident organization and serving a very useful purpose. We commend you. On a personal level and also as it relates to the JHWU, and we salute all of your members. You know, I've always said, Shirley, if the domestic helper at my home can't integrate and become a part of the family, then it's not even worth having that individual. And so we always try to make sure that they're quite okay. So that is the way we ought to go. Thank you so much for talking with us.
This work, as I said, Richie, this work is all voluntary work. It's not a paid job.
Yeah. Well, fantastic.
Voluntary work. But, you know, you're fulfilled because when you see the result, you feel fulfilled. Thank you for having me.
Keep going and keep going strong. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so
Great
much.
talking with you, all right?
Thank you. Good.
Have a wonderful day to you, too. All right. I want to say good morning to Miss Rena. Miss Rena, she was with us for a while, several years, and then she got married and she started a business, and she recommended Miss Marva, who is with us now and going well. So we say give thanks to all the domestic workers out there. It's now 3 minutes after 10 o'clock, and we say good morning and welcome to Up and Go here on the Bridge 99 FM to the one and only Patrice Roberts. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you loud and clear. How you doing?
I am blessed. I mean, given the fact that we've been going through such a hard time for the past year and a half, saying that I'm good and I'm alive is a blessing. So I'm happy.
Absolutely. And you're looking beautiful this morning. I think I saw you on a stage recently telling your audience that it's been almost 3 years that you have not been able to connect with them like that.
It actually felt like 3 years. it felt so long.
Yes.
But the pandemic have really taught me to be patient, you know. It's like a blessing in disguise at the same and tough at the same time.
Yeah.
And I've got to connect with myself, connect with people that I love, and just reset.
A lot of artists that we speak with from time to time, Patrice, they tell us that they have actually been able to spend more time into the studios and have been putting out a lot more songs or working on upcoming projects. Have you been doing that as well?
Oh, I have been working. From I don't ever stop working, but over the pandemic, I have been working, because my aim is not just to release soca music, but just push myself to the limit, try to, let people see a different side of me. And I think I've been succeeding where that is concerned.
Yes, you have. I was trying to figure out how are you going to touch down for this interview today, because I watched you recently in a video from 2017 when you were making an appearance at the Soca Monarch competition just before you before you performed Big Girl Now. And that entry was something else, Patrice. You remember it?
I do. I remember it like it was yesterday. I just had my daughter.
Uh-huh.
Big Girl Now had opened so many doors for me. From the moment I became a mom, it's like, I don't know, I was reborn. Mentality, everything was different. You know, I was like so inspired to be great or greater, you know, because I have somebody looking on.
Yeah.
That I felt at that time I just wanted to conquer the world.
Well, you brought your A game. You were lowered onto the stage, and the outfit, the hair, the attitude, it just said, hey, I'm ready to conquer the world. And you did a fantastic job.
Very much.
When you look back at your career, what would you say are some of the highlights, some of the achievements that you're really proud of?
Some of my highlights is actually getting the opportunity to tour and learn from Marshall Montano. You know, I've gotten the opportunity to even perform with Bunji Garlin and some of the artists that I really, really look up to. You know, being able to win Road March at a young age,
yes,
tour the world and really live my dream is a big accomplishment. It's something that I will always remember and appreciate.
Yeah. When you won the Road March competition, were you was it the youngest female or the first female that won it?
The youngest.
The youngest, right.
I was stepping out. I was still living with my mom. And I was really sheltered. Shouldn't say sheltered. Well, she is Muslim, you know, and didn't really grow up, you know, wearing no sort of short pants or being out there in the world, you know. It's something I always wanted to do, but I remember winning Road March at home, you know, never really experiencing carnival or experiencing being on the road. But just hearing, that you won a title at that tender age was so overwhelming, because this is something I always wanted to do, you know. So.
Yeah. You have done work with bands at one stage with Ecstatic. Where are you now, though? Are you still affiliated? Do you have any band affiliations, or are you simply working solo?
I'm simply working solo. You know, I've started off in 2015. That's where I was mainstream, actually, and you know, I released The Islands with Bunji Garlin, and then I moved on with Marshall Montano. And
all right, we have her connected via Zoom. Yes, back with you.
Yes, I think somebody called. I think that was the best decision I've made, you know, to learn from him and literally move on and it just follow my dream and just be on my own path was the best decision I've ever made.
Yes.
It was scary though, so because being under him, I was so sheltered. He was so overprotective, you know, but I've learned so many things from him. I've learned how to reinvent myself. I've learned to reset. I just took a page out of his book, and now I'm standing on my own 2 feet. It was a really scary experience, but I'm here, and I'm really, really looking forward to see what God have in store for me.
Yeah.
Because my career is just on a high right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. We've been watching and we've been noticing the advancements. Something about soca music, it just generates this kind of vibe, this kind of energy. Do you get a chance to collaborate with artists from other genre, even Jamaican artists? And how much fun is that when you do get a chance to do it?
Of course. Actually, I've just released a song with Dexter Daps. I love Dexter Daps. I'm a big fan. Just released a song. It's called Ammunition. From the moment that we released that song, it was well received from my fans and his fans. For me, like I said, the sky's the limit. I don't want to just focus on soca music, but music in general. You know, I just want to see how far it's gonna take me.
If you hang around Bungie long enough, and you might find yourself DJing on some dancehall rhythms, because he's versatile like that.
No.
Let us talk now about your latest project. I understand you have a song called "Mind My Business."
Mind Your Business.
What is that about, Patrice Roberts?
Mind Your Business is simply, let me break it down into simple things.
Yes.
The pandemic has humbled us. Some people spend so many time trying to figure out, or actually, I would say, butt in other people's business, and not try to figure out their direction.
Okay.
That they bask in negativity. Mind your business, drink water, and mind your businesses. Stay hydrated. Mind the business, or take the business that is taking care of you. Be more positive. Try to encourage people to push forward, to be positive, handle your business, more positive stuff.
Yeah.
This time is not the time to bask in negativity. So drink water and mind your business.
Drink water. Mind your business.
Invest in drink water and invest in my family and spend more time,
Yeah. I saw some clips of a video that you have promoting it, and it looks really, really good. Before we play the song, though, which I really like, and I think it's going to do well for you, what else can we expect from you for 2022? And what are you looking forward to most this year?
I am looking forward to breaking barriers, collaborating with more artists away from the soca music. For me, the sky's the limit. I would like people to just keep looking on, because I have a lot to offer. I have so much more to offer. So I can't wait to see what 2020 have in store. It's already starting in a positive light.
In a big way. It has started off with a bang, if you ask me for you. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, Patrice Roberts 1. Patrice R Music on Twitter.
Okay, Patrice, it's been really a pleasure talking with you. I want you to introduce I want you to introduce to my listeners here on the bridge your latest song, "Mind Your Business," and we're going to play it right after. So it's over to you. Pretend that you're the host of the radio show and you're introducing just what happens to be your own song. Take it away, Patrice Roberts.
All the listeners, I just want to say, before I release this, I just want to say thank you for all the support, all the love. People who have not heard the song, it's called Drink Water and Mind Your Business. It was written by Michael Tasia, produced by Travis Will. The song is amazing. Take a listen.
Thank you.
Drink water, mind your business.
All right. Thank you. Great talking with you. Have a good day. We're living in an age now where a lot of things are being blamed on COVID-19, right? Everything, COVID, So this happened yesterday, we understand, and it is good information for persons, especially over 60. Okay? We're listening? So the story goes, a friend had his third dose of the COVID vaccine, which of course is the booster, at a pharmacy, it turns out. And sometime after he had the third dose, he began to have kind of blurred vision while he was on his way home. Okay? So when he got home, he called the pharmacy, seeking some advice, as to whether or not he might want to have to see a doctor or even be hospitalized. But when he called the pharmacy, he was told not to go to any doctor or hospital or anything like that. But in fact, he should immediately return to the pharmacy and pick up his darn glasses that he had left there. That's all. That's all. Don't blame COVID for that. It's your glasses that you need.
Richie B, the party master, on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.